This conference will now be recorded.
All right, thank you for that. Thank you everyone for being here today. We are now live, so I'll go ahead and start the meeting of the MPO Policy Board for this 14th day of September 2023. And the first item we need to do is have a roll call. So I'll call out your name, and it looks like first on the list for today is Tracy Brown.
Present.
Larry Leverance.
Present.
Perry Brown. I see Perry, but I can't hear him, but we'll put him down as present. Cindy Murray.
Present.
Julie Ginn.
Present.
And according,
Present.
God, thank you, Julie. According to my list, that's all the voting members that we have present today. Is there anyone that I missed? Okay, hearing none. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the August 10th, 2023 meeting. Those should have been communicated to you in your packet. I would entertain a motion for approval.
Move for approval.
All right, let's try that again, somebody.
I'm Cindy Murray, approved for approval. Jeez.
Yeah, I heard Cindy move for approval. Did we get a second?
I'll second it.
Great.
Julie.
Julie, thank you for your second. We have a motion and a second. Are there any changes or corrections? All right, hearing none, we'll conduct a roll call vote. Tracy Brown.
Aye.
Larry Leverance.
Aye.
Perry Brown.
Aye.
Thank you, Perry. Cindy Murray
Aye.
and Julie Ginn.
Aye.
The motion carries. The minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is Resolution T23-13, resolution to adopt the 2020 adjusted urban area boundary for the greater Lafayette area, and Doug will be handling that.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. We're pleased to present to you this afternoon work that has been going on for the past 6 months or so. After the census identifies the urban area boundary, then the MPO staff and then other MPOs across the U.S. look at making their adjusted urban area boundary. And the map that shows our proposal is in the staff report at the very end. There's a couple critical, important factors in doing so. For one, it is for highway statistical reporting, and then as well control of outdoor advertising. But the most important and critical piece of this is how we use our federal gas tax funds. Every area or project within the green boundary is eligible for our Group 2 federal funds, and every project or improvement outside of that boundary is eligible for Group 4 federal funds. So the idea is to keep it as close to the urban area as possible, so the county has more options to use different types of federal gas tax. Earlier this year, we worked with the engineers in establishing the boundary and had a fairly good discussion at our February Technical Transportation Committee. and thereafter submitted it to NDOT Central Office for their review. We recently learned that they had no comments and advised us to go ahead and proceed in adopting the boundary. So that's in essence what we are doing today, is asking for your approval of this boundary. Are there any questions or comments?
Doug, and maybe I missed this if you already said it, could you just maybe clarify, were there any significant changes to the from what this was before that we should be aware of?
Comparing this urban area boundary to the 2010 urban area boundary, of course, first off, the town of Battleground is no longer included in the census urban area boundary. We did, for this purpose, and the adjusted urban area boundary, keep the town within, but narrowed it enough where you can see along Burnett's Road on the map that it's narrowed significantly so that the county can use Group 4 funds for improvements in that area that are outside of the boundary. Otherwise, we've only did some small changes. For example, annexations, there were several that we did include those areas. But overall, it remains fairly the same, except for around the Battleground area.
Great, thank you for that additional information there. Does anyone else have any questions for Doug on this resolution? Okay, hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved. Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy. A second, please.
Larry, second.
All right, Larry Leverance on the second. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll conduct a roll call vote. Tracy Green,
Aye.
Larry Leverance,
Aye.
Perry Brown,
Aye.
Cindy Murray,
Aye.
Julie Ginn.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. The resolution is approved.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is an administrative modification for the 2024-2028 Transportation Improvement Program, Tippecanoe County update right-of-way year for bridge number 80 and 83 and number 83 projects. And Doug will get into that.
As part of keeping this committee informed of any changes regarding the Transportation Improvement Program, of course, if there's any amendments, we bring it forward to this committee for approval. But when there are modifications processed, and this is just usually done simply by a letter signed by David, we do present this for the committee's information to let you know that there were some minor changes done to the document. We do have actually 3 to present. 2 of them occurred earlier this week, and I'll quickly go through the 3. The first one listed in the packet or the agenda was changing the year that right-of-way will begin for the 2 county bridge projects, simply moving it from 24 to 2025. The second one we processed actually this past Monday, and we have a residual balance of 2023 funds which we are trying to obligate, and part of those funds were allocated to the South 9th Street project specifically for preliminary engineering, and the other portion was allocated to a city bus paratransit project. Unfortunately, we learned when we were going through the paperwork to obligate these funds that we are past the deadline to transfer funds from federal highway to FDA. We moved the residual amount of funds, it was roughly $61,000, to the City of West Lafayette's Sagamore Parkway Trail project, so we can use those funds to pay for change orders. So those are the 3 tip modifications that were processed since the last meeting. Are there any comments or questions?
Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Doug, for that explanation. We'll move on to the APC progress report, MPO update, and there are 4 of those, and Doug will be handling all of those.
The first 2, federal funds and federal funding obligations, are sort of together. As you see on your screen is the summary of fiscal year 2024. Believe it or not, we're in that fiscal year already, and how our federal funds are allocated between all of the individual projects. As you can see, of course, right now, there has been none officially obligated by NDOT's report, but we've already started the process to obligate a portion of it. Basically, we owe money this fiscal year back to the Northwest Indiana Regional Plan Commission for 2 projects, specifically for the construction of River Road and County Road 500 North, and then also for the Sagamore Parkway Trail. So we started the process and submitted the paperwork to return those funds to that MPO. Otherwise, the funds will be going to Morehouse Road for the construction, which is coming up later this calendar year. And then we are also hoping to trade our funds that we received this year for federal funds for 2025. And we need those additional funds for the Morehouse Road Phase 2 project. At the very bottom, you see additional fiscal year 2023 funds. These are residual funds were left over that we have up to September 30th to obligate. And the 2 modifications relate to these funds. And we are trying to obligate them. We have part of it through the South 9th Street project. And the other funds, we are actually waiting on the Crawfordsville district staff to basically forward what we call advice of change to central office. Once that is done, then they will notify us, or APC, about it, and then we will give our official approval to obligate those funds. Central office is aware and waiting for the district paperwork, and we have been in contact with the district. We were hoping to have this done earlier this week. So we hope to take care of this tomorrow. We are given a deadline that these funds need to be obligated by next Monday. So we are working behind the scenes, making lots of phone calls, sending lots of emails to get these federal funds obligated. So we do have some good news to report in that earlier, a few months ago, I believe, we will be receiving additional federal funds through the FHWA redistribution program. And that is where state DOTs, if they do not use their fiscal year 2023 federal funds, the balances are pulled back to federal highway and then redistributed to all of those DOTs who have obligated those funds. And fortunately and thankfully, NDOT is one of those state DOTs, and they requested $310 million. Sounds like a lot of money, but for road projects, it's actually fairly small. The good news is that we just recently received word that Federal Highway did award money to NDOT in the amount of $303,967,075. So we're estimating this will translate to a pinch over $1.4 million. We don't have any specific details on when these funds need to be obligated by or the specific amount, but when we do, we will start with the Technical Transportation Committee and come up with a plan in obligating those. And once that plan is devised, we will bring it to this committee for approval. So good news, we're getting additional federal funds.
Yeah.
Going on to the State Transportation Improvement Program and our 2024-2028 TIP, The good news is that Federal Highway Administration and Federal Transit Administration has approved NDOT's State Transportation Improvement Program, or STIP, and it became effective on September 1st, so not too long ago. We also have received word that our 2024 to 2028 TIP is approved from the governor. So we are now officially just using that document for our federal funding purposes. So some really good information regarding those documents. And then going on to the annual listing of projects. This is actually a requirement that all metropolitan planning organizations, or MPOs, must do and have it completed by September 30th of the fiscal year. We have been doing this since 2006 and has successfully produced one ever since then. And we're pleased to announce that the document for fiscal year 2023 has been finished and is actually up and available for viewing on our website. It's the same format as the previous years. In the first part of the document, we give a summary of federal funding, the amounts of federal funds, and then we go into a summary of state projects as well as local projects. For the local projects, we do go into a more detailed table and showing not only federally funded projects, but also locally funded projects. So I have to thank those who put together the Board of Works minutes and the County Commissioners minutes, because those are very critical and valuable for us to use this. They're great. All we do is read those, take the information down, and then we don't have to reach out to the engineers and ask them individual questions. So thank you for having good minutes. And then in addition to that, we have individual project sheets that specific information on the projects. And then at the end, we do have information regarding projects that were completed over the fiscal year. So the good news is, once again, we have completed that document and it is up and available for viewing. Comments or questions?
Do you have a hard copy of that?
We do not, but we can make you one.
Well, I was just just for my office, just in case someone came up and asked or something, but it's not. I can steer them to the website.
Sure, I can make one tomorrow and bring it down.
Bless your heart. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, any other comments or questions? All right, well, thank you, Doug, and to the whole team for all that work on all those items there. We certainly appreciate it. And let's move on to the NDOT 18-month letting list.
As you can see on screen, the 18-month letting list is getting smaller and smaller. Project number 1 is on US 52-231. This is a really interesting project. If I remember correctly, this is where they are going to install devices in the road to charge electric vehicles. So it's a test project. It was on an August bid letting and has been moved to a September 27th bid letting, or coming up really soon. The other project I should point out for the 27th bid letting is another supermassive I-65 widening project. It's not listed on here, but just for kind of interesting information to share with you about that. Project number 3 is the construction or bid letting for the first phase of Morehouse Road, which is on a December 13th bid letting. Going down the list, believe it or not, the westbound Wabash River Bridge over the Wabash River is going to receive some superstructure repair and rehabilitation, and that is on a January bid letting. Looking at further a bit down, project number 9, it's on a July bidding, State Road 26 at McCarty Lane, a new traffic signal. And then right under that, project 10 is the much anticipated and needed truss repair and reconstruction project on the State Road 225 bridge over the Wabash River. And then 2 other things to point out, project 13 and 14, 2 local projects, Bridge 527, and then the Morehouse Road Phase 2 construction. So the list is getting shorter. Any comments or questions?
All right, hearing none. Thank you, Doug. We will move on to the quarterly reports, project tracking summary, and Tim will be handling that.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So as usual, I'm not necessarily going to go over every project. I'm just going to try to hit some of the highlights, and then I'm happy to take questions at the end, even if it's about a project I didn't cover. So the first one I like to point out is the North 9th Street Road Bridge. It did have a small change in the Stage 3 design date. However, the good news is that will not impact the planned letting in November of 2025. So overall, that project is still on schedule. And then the second one, so the River Road at 500 North project is almost closed out. We're just waiting on the contractor to complete the punch list. So it's good to see that project moving through its life cycle, and the fact that we're just inches away from the finish line. So always good to hear that. The next project is the Jaeger Road project. So that has let. We are hoping that some of the new available federal funding can be used to move it closer to an 80-20 federal local cost split. So earlier when Doug was talking about the 1.46 or so million that we're going to be hopefully getting, we are planning on trying to use some of that money to that. Currently, Jaeger Road is funded at maybe about 60 or so % federal funding, and we're trying to get it closer to 80 with some of that money. The next one that I like to point out is the county bridge inspection program. So phase 1 inspections are complete. Phase 1A has commenced. So that is moving along pretty well, which is good. That's kind of our permanent ongoing project to every few years make sure that we get all the bridges in the county or that are owned by the county inspected. So always good to kind of do some of that tracking for maintenance. Moving on to Lafayette. So for their South 9th Street project, they did submit Section 106 documentation. And they requested an expedited review of this to keep the project on schedule. So hopefully that will be able to happen so that we can avoid any more delays in that, which we did have some, as you guys will remember, that were out of our control. Moving to West Lafayette, so construction is progressing for the Sagamore Parkway Trail project. There may be some supplemental work to resolve a drainage issue. This is at least partially what some of the extra funding may go toward as well, to try to pay for that, which we're currently planning to handle through a change order to that project. So we'll have to see about that. That's kind of something that's just been developing the past couple months. And then additionally, for the Soldiers Home Road Phase 1 project, the environmental report is on track to be completed by December. So that project is on schedule as well. So it sounds like just kind of overall things are moving along pretty well here in the county, and everyone is working their best to stay on top of things as much as we can. So I think we got some pretty good news about all this, but I would take any questions if there are any from anyone on the board.
All right, hearing no questions for Tim, I'll ask if anyone has any other business that they'd like to bring before the board today.
Yeah, we do have one item, which we recently noticed. So every year we have an MPO conference where all the MPOs in the state get together, and this year it's going to be in Bloomington, which is of course fine. However, unfortunately, we will be at that conference during the time of our regularly scheduled policy board meeting next month. So that means we will need to reschedule our policy board meeting. So we can't do it on October 12th. So when this happens, what we've typically done in the past is to try to move it back a week, perhaps to October 19th. So I think maybe what we'll do is to just send out something to the committee to have everyone check their calendars and see if that's available. And then if it is, we will get that scheduled. So I guess be looking out for something from either Aria or Jen from our office regarding scheduling that.
All right, that'll be fine. All right, we'll all look for those calendar invites. Is there any other business to come before the policy board? All right, hearing none, we will move into the citizens comment portion of the meeting. Do we have any citizen comments to this point?
It looks like we do not, but Aria has started our 1 minute timer.
Thank you.
Okay, looks like there are still no comments after the 1 minute time has passed. So we should be good to move on to the next item, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. The next item on the agenda is adjournment. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Whatever.
Okay, I'm not sure if the person taking minutes got that or not, but we'll go with Cindy Murray making the motion and Julie second there. And
Yes.
we'll do a roll call vote. Tracy Brown,
Aye.
Larry Leverance,
Aye.
Harry Brown,
Aye.
Cindy Murray,
Hi.
Julie Ginn.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.